Guys, look at the price of gold next to me. This is telling you something that is really, really concerning about financial markets right now. And in this video, I'm going to uncover this. I know a lot of times we're provocative and we have fun with the titles and thumbnails, but genuinely, this is signaling something seriously concerning. And if you trade the indices, currencies, or commodities, you need to stick around to the end of this video. So with that said, let's jump in and dive into what this is actually telling us about financial markets right now. And just before we get into this video, I do want to mention that we are launching a flash sale this week for all of the big market news and market data that's coming out. We're doing a big sale for the Edge Finder. If you're somebody who watches the videos, get 25% off by using the very first link in the description to speak with someone on our team who can hook you up with that flash sale discount before it ends. Just click that link and you'll be connected to someone on my staff. So gold is rocketing here today, and I want to kind of draw our attention to what may actually be causing and what's behind this market. And again, a lot of times when you'll see people all over social media, they're just saying, hey, it was a technical pattern and, look, my setup worked out. And while I am very happy that this technical entry ended up being good, I know better than to think that this is just simply a technical move happening in the gold market. Because in this video, I'm going to break down what's actually going on, and we're going to back it up with some data. So first of all, what is causing the market to rally high? Well, let's first of all talk a little bit about the idea of rate cuts. So rate cuts are the idea that the Federal Reserve will lower the Fed funds rate, but not just the Fed, not just the US, but other countries as well. If inflation is coming down or the economy is struggling, a central bank can cut interest rates, which weakens the currency and of course makes gold love that opportunity to move higher. Now, there's a couple reasons to rate cut though. A lot of times people will think that it's because, of course, inflation is coming down. Hey, we've beaten this thing and now we can cut rates. But I want to show you what this is signaling to us because it's not so pretty. So we've got inflation and we've got growth. Now, growth can be anything from jobs data to PMI numbers to the GDP of a country. And what we've actually seen in recent market data out of the US, at least, is that inflation is actually staying pretty sticky, at least in our latest filings. We've seen PPI and CPI and core PCE coming in and showing that inflation is still a stubborn issue in the United States. But guys, this is where things get scary. What we're seeing at the same time is that growth is actually getting called into question. The issue is we've seen PMI numbers really showing some slowdown in the United States. We saw manufacturing PMIs, which is of course the Purchasing Managers Index last week, indicate that there's a little bit of slowdown coming. We also saw preliminary GDP numbers, which came out cooler than expected. The point you need to understand is that growth could be actually starting to slow. And at the same time, inflation is staying stubborn. And if you don't know what this scenario is, then let me introduce you to a little thing called stagflation. It's when inflation is a problem, but growth is slowing. And in this scenario, as we've mentioned on this channel many times, this is the sweet spot for gold explosions higher, because in this case, people are concerned about growth, but inflation isn't going anywhere. So they hedge with gold, they go into something that they feel like they can trust. And this is why I believe gold is trading at $2,100 an ounce right now. And by the way, I should mention that if this price closes right here, right now, this would be an all-time closing high for the gold market on the COMEX. Now you might say, well, there's been an all-time higher high, and that is true, but we didn't close up there. This would be an all-time closing high, and it is likely that we will get one of those today here after posting this video. And I personally already have a gold long position. We shared this signal inside of our VIP room, and I continue to hold on to this trade, and I'm trailing stops into profit as we speak. So I'll show you this real quick. This is my current position on GLD. Because I'm in the US, I can't trade CFDs. I can either trade futures or I can trade ETFs. And I personally choose to trade with ETFs just because I like them and I've traded with a stock brokerage for many years. So I'm currently long GLD, which is gold. Trades the same way, basically just with a different ticker and different price, but it is the same underlying asset. Here's a quick look at the commitment of traders data as of the latest filing, which we got on Friday. So you can see they added some positions on oil, which is good for my oil trade. Gold was kind of mixed, didn't really have a decisive move one way or the other, but they sold the NASDAQ, which makes me wonder if perhaps stagflation, this concept that we're talking about, could start to become more commonplace in the kind of headline news from things like CNBC and Bloomberg and that sort of stuff. And lately we've been getting bullish reads on gold and oil, which has been awesome. So the Edge Finder's been very correct in picking those sort of areas of the market. And I'll continue to stay long and trailing stops on those winners as long as the market allows me to. Of course, the top setups algorithm basically looks at all sorts of different market factors, everything from economic reads as well as sentiment and momentum in the market, and gives us bullish and bearish readings for all of our favorite currency pairs, assets, commodities, indices, etc. And just a reminder, it is currently on sale, 25% off if you use the very first link down below in the description. Just chat with a rep. And while all this happening, the S&P 500 is still just around all-time highs. And what has me a little bit concerned is that if stagflation becomes a more prominent thing kind of talked about, get ready for some rough time in the indices, because if stagflation, which is again stubborn inflation and cooling growth, if that becomes a narrative, it was not out of the question in my view to get something like a 5% corrective move on the S&P 500, which by the way, a 5% corrective move, let's just see where that would land us. That's somewhere around the neighborhood of 48.75, let's call it, on the S&P 500, which that's erasing a lot of the gains here this year. And I'm not necessarily saying that that's what I'm betting on, or I'm not short the market, but personally, I'm going to stay on the sidelines until we see some form of a pullback, as I anticipate that it's probably due for one. The NASDAQ is the same thing. This thing has been on a 4-month winning streak. I do think it's probably time for a bit of a pullback. And while I'm still long overall this year, I do think waiting for a corrective move is probably the more prudent thing to do. Another thing worth mentioning is that we are going into a portion of the year, and have actually been in a weaker portion of the year, although we have not seen seasonality play ball so far this year with this move, with the S&P 500 continuing to rally. It does seem like we could have some seasonally weaker times coming, and so perhaps we'll get that pullback within this next couple weeks. Also, another notable thing in markets right now is Bitcoin, which is just shy of its all-time highs, around 69 something thousand. Right now we're trading at 66 at the time of recording this video, and things just continue to push higher. You know, I have a big wonder about this. Is the idea of stagflation also bullish for Bitcoin? My best guess would actually be no, but maybe I'm wrong about this. Perhaps investors are moving into Bitcoin as part of the same reason that they may be moving into gold, which sounds very weird, but it is perhaps possible, and many would call Bitcoin digital gold. So who knows? Perhaps that's one of the reasons behind this big push to the upside. The other reasons that many people are saying are simply FOMO, perhaps a risk on general market environment right now, where people are kind of more into stocks. That with that comes crypto oftentimes. And then of course, maybe the halving and the Bitcoin ETFs that launched. There's several reasons perhaps that Bitcoin is continuing higher, but price being where it's at is a milestone in itself, because again, many people thought Bitcoin was going to zero. I've never been a particularly bullish person on Bitcoin or crypto as a whole, but I do have some exposure myself. I own an ETF after they launched. I went ahead and bought a little bit of IBIT, which is the iShares Bitcoin Trust. And so, yeah, continuing to hold this one, and it's a very small position for me, but I'm watching it run. And in terms of my oil trade, that was pretty crazy last week. It's pulling back a bit here, but as long as we form some sort of higher low and continue, I'll stay in the trade. Otherwise, if we do break through support levels, I'll stop out of my trade and close for profit. I'm trading USO. This is the oil ETF. I just like to mark it up on US oil for my viewers who are not in the United States, which is a lot of you guys. But I am trading USO, the ETF variation of the oil's futures market. And here's a quick look at all of my current positions. By the way, the broker that I use is called WeBull. If you'd like to find more information about WeBull, I'll leave a link down below in the description. And if you're somebody outside of the US, there's some great sign-up perks with some of the brokers that are also linked there. Those are referral links, so full transparency. If you choose to use them, you'll be supporting my channel, and I very much appreciate it. Thanks for watching today's video. Trade safe, and we'll see you next time. If you're looking to improve as a trader, we've got some cool free resources here that I wanted to share as we close today's video. Down below in the description, there is a link to join our Discord channel or our Telegram channel. And we also have our website, a1trading.com, where traders can get access to free course material to help you improve as a trader. Remember, we are also live Monday through Friday on this channel around 9:30 a.m. US Eastern, broadcasting most live news events and that sort of thing. So hope to see you there. And also, we do have a couple videos here showing up on the screen. If either of these seems like it might be helpful to you, then make sure to click here or here, and we'll see you there.